What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to this video. Today we're going to talk about basic malware dynamic analysis. Now previously we covered a series of videos where we talked about static malware analysis. I recommend you guys to check out this playlist, malware analysis reverse engineering, in my channel. In here you will find videos where I talked about static malware analysis. There are kind of four videos about malware static analysis or malware static analysis. In the rest of the videos, I analyzed samples taken from malware repositories. You can also take a look at these guys. Today we're going to start with dynamic analysis. Now this room is divided into a couple tasks. So basically what I'm going to do to maximize the learning benefits for you, I'm going to tackle the room task by task, where every task we're going to explain the concept in full fashion. So basically, as you can see here, you can read through task 2 and task 1. It's all readings. In task 3, we will analyze a malware sample using process monitor. So let's first understand dynamic analysis. So if you read through the introduction here, you will find that dynamic analysis is actually a method of analyzing a malware by interacting with it. Meaning, we open the malware, okay, we let the malware run its course, and then we analyze the malware using malware analysis tools. It's the contrary to static analysis. In static analysis, we analyze the malware using tools such as strings. We take the hash of the malware, we analyze the headers, but without opening the malware. We don't interact with the malware. Okay, so in process monitor task, we will use process monitor to analyze a sample malware. You don't need to read through all of these readings. I'm going to explain everything to you guys, and we will answer the questions here. Okay, so let's head to the machine. The sample in question is located in this directory or in this folder. It is it's named 1.exe. And if you go to tools, we can find the process monitor by going to utilities and right-clicking here on process monitor, run as administrator, because we are given access as administrator. All right, so let's get ourselves familiar with the interface here. So as you can see, we have this to open an already saved project or a file saved by process monitor. Here we save the results. And most importantly is to get familiar with the filters. With this button, we actually deal with the filters. So if you click on that, here a new menu pops up, as you can see, and here we select the type of column we want to use for filtering. So as you can see, if you take a look at the columns, we have time, process name, PID, operation path, result, and detail. So when we go to the filter here, what we do, we use the columns to filter through the results. We're going to talk about the filters later. Other than that, as you can see, we can see these buttons that control the display. So for example, if I click on show registry activity, it hides the registry activity, because when I click on this, it activates the relevant entry. So if I click on show registry activity, it's going to show the registry activity here. If I hide, it's going to hide all of the operations, okay, that are connected or related somehow to registry. The same goes for show file system activity. So read file, close file, open file, all of these are file operations activities. If I click on this, it's going to hide all of this. So it's kind of controlling what is displayed in the interface here. As you can see, we have the process tree. If you click on the process tree, we see all the running processes in a parent-child relationship. It's very useful if I want to analyze the parent process and all of its connected child processes. As you can see, for example, the services process is a parent process to the service host. At the same time, it's a child to WinInitialize or WinStartup process. This is very useful if you're analyzing a sample malware and the sample malware initiates more processes under the main parent process. All right, so let's close this one. Okay, so now let's get ourselves familiar with the filters. Now, very important in Process Monitor is to get yourself familiar with the filters, because without using the filters, you're gonna get yourself drowned in the operations here. There is no way you'll be able to analyze the sample malware by scrolling all the way through thousands of entries here. So we're gonna scroll up here and get ourselves familiar with the filters. So as you can see here, the first column is the time, then the process name, and then we have the PID of the process. The other column is operation, what the process is doing at this time, at this timestamp. So this timestamp, for example, the CTF moon or monitor, it's reading a file, okay, and that's the path of the file. The result is success. It means that the process has successfully performed the operation read file on this file. In this case, it's input services.dll. It's a DLL file, and we can expand the details column to see more details about the operation. The detail column is useful when we want to see command line activity, like what is the command executed by a certain process. Okay, so now let's take an example. If you right-click on the Explorer process under the process column name or the process name column, right-click, we can see the menu comes up here. So as you can see, we can use the filters from this menu. If I click on Include Explorer, it's gonna display all of the entries where the process Explorer is mentioned, and it's gonna rule out everything else. As you can see here, everything other than Explorer or everything else, all information about other processes now are hidden from the display. As you can see, I cannot see them because I chose to filter the entries to show only processes where the process name is Explorer. If I go back and click on Include one more time, if I click on Exclude, it's going to show everything else. Looks like we have to reset the filter. Now, if you get everything messed up, or if you confused what to do after setting up the filter, you can go to the filter here, and as you can see, you can reset, apply, and this will bring back the activity of the processes. Now, if you wish to exclude, you can right-click and click on Exclude. This will show all the activity of all the processes other than the Explorer, as you can see here. Okay, so now let's bring everything back to how it was. So clicking on the filter, and then we reset, apply, and this will bring back the Explorer. Okay. If we are interested in a certain entry, we can right-click on the entry itself. For example, this entry here shows a process name service host initiating a TCP connect or TCP send to this path or to this address. As you can see, when the operation is TCP send or TCP connect or UDP connect, when it is a network activity, the path here doesn't show a file name, rather it shows domain name. So this is the host name of the current machine, and this is the destination host to where it's trying to connect, and this is the port 49,202, and the result is success. It means that the connection was successful. So if I right click here and click on properties, I will be able to bring up the details menu here. Here I will see all the details regarding the network activity. So as you can see, this is the timestamp important for forensics, and this is the class of the operation. It is network operation, TCP send, success. We've seen all of these in the interface menu here. But what about the other? Here we can see information about the process that initiated the network connection. As you can see here, this is the path of the process, the main process, and this is the command it executed to connect to this domain. This is the PID of the process and other relevant information about the process, such as the account that executed the process. In this case, it is network service. Some other time it might be the network authority system. Some other time it might be the username, like your username or my username, whatever. Here you can see the memory stack. In that case, nothing shows up, but here it shows the memory stack, and that's for the details menu. All right, so now we are kind of familiar with how process monitor works. Let's now minimize and go to the sample malware, and dynamically we start the analysis by running the malware. All right, so now how do we analyze? So we said earlier we're going to use the filter, so click on the filter, and here we get to see all of the filtering criteria we can use. So since the only thing we know about the malware is its file name, the only way to show all of the activity of this malware is to use its file name. So to do that, we're going to use the process name here. We're going to assume that when the malware opens up, it spawns a process using its original file name. So we know that the original file name is 1. So we're going to say 1 and click on OK. Don't forget that here you can control the logic of the condition. So here it is, it's the where it matches the name. If I want to show everything other than the malware itself, I'm going to click on is not. These are all logical operations, self-explanatory, not difficult. So click on OK. Oh, we have to add it. Don't forget to click on add. As you can see, we have a new entry with a green check mark indicating that we are including a new entry here, and it is an inclusion operation, not exclude. So apply. And as you can see, we see all of the activity of the malware. And look at the right hand. As you can see, I have many things to scroll through. So still we are not done yet. We have to define what we want to find or uncover about this malware. So now this is the first step. We now can see all of the activities the malware is performing on the machine. All right, so let's see the questions here. Monitor the sample using process monitor. This sample makes a few network connections. What's the first URL on which a network connection is made? So we have to first show the network connections the malware is initiating. And to answer the question, we have to find the first URL. The first URL means we have to find the first connection attempt that the malware has initiated. So we're going to go back here. Again, we're going to use the filter. And this time, we're going to use the operation column. Okay, so go to operation. And here, what are we going to do? So since we want to display the connection or the network activity of this malware, let's see what options we have here. As you can see, these are the values that we can use in the filtering criteria. Now we have to see what values can indicate a network activity. If you scroll down, you can see we have TCP accept, TCP connect, disconnect, other, receive, reconnect, retransmit, send, copy, and we have the same for UDP. So it's going to be very cumbersome to go every single one of them and add them to the filter. So what are we going to do? We're going to rely on the conditional logic here. So instead of is, I'm going to say contains. Okay, so contains what? You can choose one of the values here, or you can use your own. So I'm going to say TCP. So, and click on add. So what does this do? If the operation column contains the word TCP, it's going to show the relevant activity in the panel here. Now this covers all of the TCP activity. What about UDP? I'm going to use the UDP here and click on add, and this will cover all TCP and UDP network activities. Apply, Okay, now we sort this, as you can see, in ascending order. As you can see, this is the order of the timestamp. Make sure this is in the correct order from oldest to newest. So the first operation was TCP reconnect, and that's the path. If you were to click on properties, we can bring up the details menu here, and as you can see, this is the host name of the machine, the source port, and this is destination DNS name, and that's destination port, which means that this is the full URL that the domain was trying to connect to, and it was a success. It connected to this URL. So that's the answer for the first question. What network operation is performed on the above mentioned URL? We knew it was TCP reconnect. What's the name of the complete full path of the first process created by this sample? Alright, so when we ran this malware, the malware itself spawned other processes, right? We want to find out what are these processes. So you can find this out two methods. The first one is by launching the tree here. The tree will display the parent-child relationship of all the processes. If we click that, and let's find the malware we run. So this is the malware. As you can see, this is the child process of the main process, and the child process happens to have the same name. If you were to click on the child process, we can go to the relevant event, right? As you can see, if you click on go to event, it highlights the relevant entry here on process monitor, and shows that this is the actual malware, right? The actual process that initiated the TCP connection. And here we can see the path, the full path to the sample. And that's the answer. What's another method of finding the answer? I'm gonna close and use the filters. So click on the filters here, and what you can do, if you don't want to reset all of the filters, you can highlight certain ones and delete them. So you can delete all the filters that show the network activity. So remove the TCP and remove UDP now. And now we're going to use other processing criteria. So basically we're looking for, let's go back. What's the name with the complete full path of the first process created by the sample? So the sample here, when we run the malware, it created a process. It spawned another process. So we're going to keep the operation the same, and contains, and here we're going to say process, because we know that when the malware ran, it spawned another process. So the operation name must contain the word process. Process start, could be process rename, it could be process spawn, whatever. It contains the word process. So add, apply. As you can see, we have the operation. It shows all of the operations where the word process was mentioned. So you can see the first one, process start. Okay, if you were to click on this one, as you can see, this is the command line used to start the process. Okay, and if you look at the next one, process create, so a new process was created. Properties, and this is the process that was created. It's the same one, which happens to be the answer to this question. Now, in this task, they only talked about a couple aspects of process monitor, but you can do more. For example, if you were to click on this one, you can also analyze the memory stack, show all the relevant DLLs that the malware is using, right? This is very important if you want to dig through the malware by performing sort of reverse engineering. So the name of the DLLs used by the malware is also important, and don't forget that you can get the DLLs used by the malware during the static analysis stage. Alright, so now let's see here. If you want to see what are the commands that the malware has executed, so we can go to filter and reset, remove this one, keep the first filter active, and we're gonna say here command line. Say we want to see the commands executed by the malware. So here is not, or let's say it begins with C. So why C column? because I want to see, because normally if the malware executed couple commands, the command line will contain the C column, which happens to be the first the path to the malware itself. You can apply here. Oh, add it, apply. Okay. This one won't help either, I guess. Let's check this out. Detail, the detail column will show the command line. So detail, let's go to detail column. Yeah, begins with or contains the word command line. As you can see, this one contains the word command line. We want to see all of the relevant entries where command line is mentioned, because we want to see all of the commands that the malware executed. So we're going to say command line, add, remove this one, and we see all the commands. So we have this to start the process, here to create the process, and again to start the process one more time. So these are the apparently the commands the malware executed. We can also use the other operation, other filter, which is the operation type. So remove the detail. We can rely on the command line, and here we can say, for example, contains the word hey HTTP. If I want to see all of the URLs the malware tried to connect to, so if I can say here contains hey HTTP. So it's empty. Let's say .com. Remove this one. Add nothing. Okay, 1.exe. Remove the old one. Apply. Okay, so as you can see, we can see on the detail tab the entries where the command line contains the word or contains the file name itself. This is useful if you want to see all of the further commands the malware executed. We can see we have many entries here. How can we filter these down? Going back to the filter, so contains 1.exe, and here we can classify. For example, we can say we can also filter by the user if you want to see if the malware used the not authority system user for privilege escalation or something. You can also use the user here. But I'm interested more in other than displaying the commands, let's see here other network connections. Well, we display the network connections, that's right. Let's see what else we can do. Okay, we can also filter through the registry activity. So we can say here is, remove this. This is command line. We have to choose operation. So operation is, all right. These values control the registry or shows the registry activity. Close key, create key, delete key. We can see all of the keys that the malware has created. So we can choose this value here. Add it to the filter, apply. And we can see all of the registry keys the malware has created. These are the registry keys the malware has created. You can also check the registry keys that the malware has modified. So instead of this one, I'm going to remove this and say here modify key. If we have modify key, close, create, enumerate, load, open, query, replace key. So add. So the malware hasn't modified any existing registry key. It only created some keys. We can also check the keys that it has deleted. So we can delete this one, go back and check on delete key, add no keys deleted. All right. We can go back to how it was, reset, apply, and this brings back the original view. So that was a very brief introduction, guys, on how to use Process Monitor for dynamic malware analysis. In the next upcoming tasks, we're going to talk about more methods and tools for the purpose of studying malware or dynamic malware analysis. So that was it for today, guys. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you later.